Indiana, that's Indiana. Ballin' like Reggie Miller, that's Indiana. I put up on my state, that's Indiana. Watch me rep it in your face, that's Indiana. That's Indiana, that's Indiana.
Hi, it's Matt from Ludovox, and today we are GenCon 2016, day 2, with Mike Solinker. Hi, Mike.
Hello.
So you are a big celebrity, right?
I'm a huge No, I'm a game designer. There are no celebrity game designers.
I called you Mr. Pathfinder, right?
You did call me that. That's very true.
So here we are on the Loneshark booth, and we are here with a game that was kickstarted early this year. So the Ninth World, a skill building game, sorry.
Yeah, it's a skill building game for Numenera, which is a world that was created by my friend Monty Cook and his team over at Monty Cook Games, and we fell in love with it, and we're like, we want to make a game based on that. Please let us. And they were like, absolutely, we would love to work with you, and it went great. Okay,
and how many players can play the game?
1 to 5. It plays in 3 modes. So it plays in solo. You want to wait? Okay. Solo, cooperative, and competitive mode. So obviously competitive mode doesn't play as well with 1. Yeah.
So is solo mode a cooperative version? Well, the same as...
It's a stripped down version of the cooperative version. Yeah.
So what are the recommended age or audience for the game? Is it a gamer title?
Yeah, it's a gamer title. I mean, I've seen kids like 10 years old play it and they'll be fine, but it's pretty much focused on gamers who want to play a gamer game.
And so what do we try to do in the game? What's the story of the game?
Sure. It's set 1 billion years in the future. That's Illion with a B. And there's the age of man has come and gone 8 times, and we're in the 9th world. So it's a very young civilization. So there's all sorts of stuff littering the landscape. And so we're going to go out and find it. And so we go from place to place. There's a bunch of regions in the game, because it wouldn't be one of my games without a whole bunch of places to go. And so we have, I have on the table Navarine, but there are a whole bunch more regions. Each of them feels very different. And so we're going to be adventurers. Each of us is an adventurer, and we will go through a number of things that we do. We will scout, we will find relics, we will charm allies, we will fight monsters, and then we will focus our skills.
So the subtitle of the game, skill building, what is it about?
Right, so we don't actually do a very good job of being stuck in one genre. We keep changing what we make. This one's called a skill building game because it's not a deck building game in that you don't have a deck of cards. What you have is 5 cards that you never have less, never have more. But they're your skill cards, and they start out very low, and over the course of the game you build up in the direction you want to go to create the best skill set that you can for the things you're trying to do.
So we have character cards here. So I am Nixa, I am Balton, I am Ceylon.
So Celis, just to give an example, it tells you two of the skill cards that you start with. So this one has a charm card and a combat card, and otherwise is not skilled. And also has a power. Each of the characters have a different power. So this one's power is who likes to break things. The Numenera way of describing characters is just genius. It is adjective, noun, verb. So this is a charismatic glaive who likes to break things. And so each character is a different perspective on the world and has a different set of powers that works for them.
So for example, here we have a stealthy Jack who hunts with skill, or a learned nano who rides the lightning.
That sounds cool though, right? Yeah, don't you want to be a learned nano who rides the lightning? Like, I want to be that.
Maybe not a nano, I don't know.
They're tech users. They're like the people who get in there and they say, I can make this work. So they're pretty cool.
So what about player turn? What do we try to do?
So there are no individual player turns. It is a game in which we will start at one place, let's say Navarine, so we'll have a full round. And a round is we have a scout phase, a tinker phase, a charm phase, a combat phase, and a focus phase. And on a, let's say it's the tinker phase, we might all bid some cards to determine who goes first. And then based on that bid, we will each go through in order the actions that we're going to take on that turn, which in the tinker phase would be pick up some of the relics that are sliding around the highway there. And so you do each of those in sequence. Everybody does their thing if they're going to do anything on that turn, that round, and they move on to the next one. And then we move from the first space to the next space. This one has a superpower on it. It's about marking cards in the wilderness. And if we're playing a full game, we continue down doing that sequence of 5 small turns till we get to here, and then we come back. And then the game sort of gets weirder as it goes out. It's the apex of the weirdness tends to be after about turn 5, and then gets less and less weird as you come back, which means it gives you time to get ready and do things and then pay it off at the end.
So how do we win as a competitive player?
Yeah, so in the competitive game, the goal is just to get the most victory points. So cards are worth things like this oddity is worth 3, and this faction card's worth 8 if you finish the goal and all that, right? So very simple method of gaining points and getting the most points by the end. But it's a little different in co-op mode.
I was going to ask that. So how do you win in co-op and how do you lose?
In co-op mode, there's you're still trying to get victory points, but you have a card that tells you must have this many points to go past this point. So after 3 turns, everybody must have at least 20 points. If anybody doesn't have 20 points, then that person loses the game, right? And so the goal is to get everybody to the end with the right number of points, which is 80. But failing along the way raises the amount of points you need at each stage. So it's really about, okay, you take this monster, I'm going to try to get these relics. I hope we get it right because we need the points. And it turns out to be really good. We actually designed it during the Kickstarter, because in the Kickstarter, everybody who'd seen the Pathfinder game and Numenera said, can you please make a co-op version of this game? And we're like, no, you can't. It's a competitive. Wait, maybe we can. And then by the end of the game, we're like, yes, absolutely, we made it, and it's great.
So I see a few things here and there. I wonder, how do you change the skill cards? And also I see other affixes like who regenerates, who saves the forgotten. So
okay, so what you do is on your first 4 things that you just spend cards to do stuff. So charm you use to get allies, and combat you use to fight monsters and so forth. At the end of the turn, you take the focus phase. Whatever you have left, you can invest in making your skills better. So if you have 2 points left in the focus phase and you have a charm 1, you can spend those 2 points to get that charm 1 to a charm 2. Right? So it's whatever the amount you're trying to get to is. Right? So if you do that, you will eventually have a nice rainbow of colors in your hand, starting from a very gray hand to start with. The second group of cards, these small cards, is additional power cards. And so power cards can be, you can look at a character like Bolton and say, I don't want who hunts with skill. I want to get Bolton who grasps technology, or Bolton who moves like the wind, and have a different way of playing that character.
And I see wound cards, wilderness cards, town cards. What are those?
The wound cards are when you fight a monster and it doesn't. There's a chance that it will hurt you. And what wounds do in this game, they do a very clever little thing, I think. They take the wound card and you put it over your power. Now you no longer have that power. And if it's there at the end of the game, you lose a bunch of points. So you have to get rid of it at some point during the game. But not having your power is kind of rough, too. So you want to avoid wounds if you can help it. Out here we have the town deck and the wilderness deck. The town deck starts out with some cards in it, and it continues to replenish them over time. But the wilderness deck is cards you have to scout. So they tend to be more interesting cards. So, and so you're like, oh, wait, I want to get this reanimator. That's pretty good. Well, you can't just get it. You have to mark it. You have to go out and scout it in the wilderness to get it.
Okay, and we can find monsters. Oh, he is a monster.
Here's an example of this monster you need 3 to claim it, and you get 6 points when you do. But in addition, it has a power that says when claimed, roll. You can put back skills in your hand if you get a good result. If you get a bad result, you get a wound. Right? So the monsters will give you positive results and negative results.
Okay, and well, did you start designing the game because you knew Monty Cook and you wanted to make a game with him, or did you have the mechanics before?
It was a little bit different in this particular case because my friends Paul Peterson and Bo Radakovich started on a design that I really liked, and they saw the Numenera universe, but they didn't really know the guys over at Monty Cook Games. And they said, all right, I'd like to, this would be a good game in a Numenera style place. We should make a game like that. And I said, no, let's just go get Numenera. And so I went over and said, Monty, let's just make this game. And him and Charles Ryan and Sean and Jermaine and those folks all said, yeah, that sounds fantastic. So, but it was then completely redesigned to feel like it's a Numenera game. Like it really feels like it's in that universe. And so it's kind of both. I mean, we really wanted it to be their game, but we also really wanted it to be ours.
Okay, so it's a happy mixture, I guess.
I think so, yeah.
And what effect did the Kickstarter have on the game, except for the addition of the co-op mode?
It had a lot. The game was going to be set solely in the world of the Steadfast. The Steadfast is a sort of tightly knit group of kingdoms in one portion of Numenera. And there'd be 9 regions that you could go through. Well, we got a little beyond that. So there's this place called the Beyond, and the Beyond has lots more places to go. And we just said, okay, well, if you'd like to give us some more money, we'll go to the Black Riage. And people are like, oh, that sounds great. And if you'd like to give us a little more money, we'll go to the Lands of the Dawn, and so forth and so on. And eventually we got the whole world. And so we have a lot of cards to make.
So the world is like the journey, and does it change the wilderness in the town?
Right now the wilderness and town deck are the same all the way through, though obviously at some point we'll probably expand that. The thing that really changes is the path through the world, which makes a radical difference in the game every time.
So off camera, sooner you told me that the game was going to be printed soon.
Yeah, well, we still have a lot of art to make. The game's pretty much done in terms of design. It needs to be edited and laid out, although it's getting very close to finished in layout. Within a couple months, I think we'll be ready to lock this down.
Thank you, Mike, for your time and your overview of the Ninth World. Bye, see you on Ludovox.
INDIANA, that's Indiana. Ballin' like Reggie Miller, that's Indiana. I put on for my state, that's Indiana. Watch me rep it in your face, that's Indiana. That's Indiana, that's Indiana.